Hey kids, straight talking Florida coming at ya, and welcome to the channel. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it at the end, and please subscribe and hit the ringy dingy icon below for notifications every time I upload. And yes, now I've jumped down that rabbit hole known as James Charles and Tati Westbrook. You know, before a few days ago, I would say more apt, before 48 hours ago, I had no idea who these people were, and nor did I care to. I figured it was just more drama that will blow over. I mean, the intertubes has a very short attention span now, doesn't it? I, but now it's been, almost a week that my recommendations on YouTube, my recommended videos, as well as my YouTube homepage, have been bombarded with titles involving these two YouTube beauty influencers. Okay. Beauty influencers I don't care about. Well, then again, I don't care too much for any of them. I am far from following societal beauty standards, so I don't count, right? Okay. But I'm going to give my 2 cents anyway. As far as I'm concerned, the beauty and cosmetics industry are a scourge on society and further pushes people, particularly women and girls, in an attempt to reach a problematic societal beauty standard. It also reinforces the double standards regarding beauty expectations for men and women. I did a video on this very subject not long ago. Link is in the info card above. I hope you go watch it, because when all is itemized together, it's quite an eye-opener. Anyways, on with this video. But everybody, no matter their genre on YouTube, appears to be covering those two. Not just the obvious suspects from the drama community, but from everywhere. The mental health community, the addiction community, the prison community, and yes, a channel from the vegan I often disagree with. And close to the end of her video today is no exception. I will get to that shortly. So now, as I mentioned, up until a few days ago, I had no idea who either of these people were. I still wish I hadn't have found out in many respects, but then again, sunshine is the best disinfectant now, isn't it? One appears to be a sexual predator, and the other one is preying on an often discarded and disregarded demographic: older women. So yeah, this becomes personal to me. So I wrote for neither in this cage match. Anyway, there are a few items that no one is talking about when they talk of this drama, but should, or at least not giving them the detail it deserves on one of those items. I will get to that shortly. But first, there was another channel I'd never heard of before earlier today. Pierre XO. For the first time, a video of his hit my list of recommendations. The video, What James Charles Says About Society. A title I can really get behind. And I did click to watch. And no, it wasn't clickbait. It's exactly Pierre described. The whole soap opera of James Charles and Tati Westbrook. And that is so wrong. It's illustrating how shallow and vacuous we really are. His video will be linked in the description box below as well. I have no idea who he is still, but I agreed with much of this specific video, and it was the first thing I heard that makes sense on this very subject. Basically, the gist of all this drama is everybody is talking about is one beauty influencer pushing some overpriced vitamins, supposedly to help skin, hair, and nails. And of course, growing long, luscious locks of hair. And yes, it even promotes that it can remove gray hair, or even prevent it from growing in. Wow. Don't sign up just yet, sisters of a certain age. It could also reduce wrinkles and fine lines, really, without the invasive procedures like, say, dermabrasion, Botox, or to the further extreme, plastic surgery? Wow! None of which is likely to live up to its hype. Where have we heard that before, boys and girls? She asked her young friend, whom she mentored, to endorse or help her promote her product known as Halo Beauty. He says no and then goes ahead and sponsors, endorses, or promotes some gummy bear supplement called something called Sugar Bear Hair Gummies. Did I say that right? In other words, just another Tuesday in capitalism uber atlas, boys and girls. So why would I care? Somebody such as myself who doesn't really subscribe to capitalism. Why would I care? And why should you care? Videos all saying basically the same thing. Who owes who an apology? Was the apology sincere or not? The relationship is dead. She's growing. He's canceled. His career is over. Her career is blossoming. I must admit, though, in my short stint with YouTube, I've never seen anyone hemorrhage so many subscribers in such a short time span as James Charles has. But take heart, boys and girls. He still has 13 million subs, which most of us YouTubers probably don't get to 13,000. Now, on to what really irks me about this whole soap opera. More important societal issues that no one, or at least not that many, are talking about it, at least not giving it the depth or the time that it deserves. Number one would be sexual harassment. With the exception of a select few, such as Petty Page has touched this, as have others, that I can't think of offhand. See what I mean? No one is really talking about the sexual harassment component here. And make no mistake, kids, James Charles, using his clout, his fame, and his notoriety to get some straight man, or at least somebody who identifies as straight, to sleep with him, exchange for whatever he can get, is sexual harassment. Yes, I'm frankly too young and immature to know what to do with his newfound notoriety and wealth. I've been using his so-called power, clout, whatever you want to call, to manipulate straight men into thinking that they're gay. Right. Now on to what really irks me on this whole soap opera. More important societal issues that no one, or at least not that many, are talking about in depth. The first one has been touched upon somewhat, the story with the waiter with James Charles. Sexual harassment, yes, with the exception of a select few. Petty Page touched upon this, as have others. But no one is really going further into depth as to how wrong this is and how costly it can be to the victim of sexual harassment. It's preying on vulnerable people. And it would appear that James Charles, who is 19 and frankly too young to know what to do with his newfound notoriety and wealth, had been using his so-called clout and money to manipulate straight men, or at least those who self-identify as straight, to basically sleep with him. Yep. Sexual harassment at his worst. In sexual favors in exchange for some twisted idea of quid pro quo. He's claimed that he has a preference for dudes who identify as straight, and thus claims he can turn them gay. What a sick... Oh, what a sick fuck. All right. Just like one cannot pray away the game. It does not work that way. Sexual harassment is a huge problem in today's society. People not nearly as rich and famous as the Tati Westbrooks and the James Charleses are sexually harassed on the workforce constantly, as in any industry. Likewise, infamous people who commit the sexual harassment. And this is something that needs to not only be spoken about, but action needs to be taken. Awareness needs to be sought. Yes, I can't believe I have to say this in 2019, boys and girls. Of course, there are laws against it in many jurisdictions, but it doesn't mean it's eradicated. More often than not, the reason most perpetrators of sexual harassment get away with what they do is more often than not, they are in a position of power, and yes, sometimes even in a position of trust. Most common is the boss manipulating and or forcing his secretary or assistant to sleep with him or allow herself to be touched by him if she wants to keep her job. That victim would likely be a single parent whose salary is the sole income that keeps the roof over their heads and food on the table to feed her children. Plus, another sad and inconvenient truth is that the victims of sexual harassment on the job would not report because many of whom often seen their careers tanked. Once again, kids, in 2019, this is something I should not have to mention. But then again, here we are, right? In a previous life, I worked in an industry that largely depended on my appearance. Well, at least my success depended on me remaining thin and having long, curly hair. Had to compensate for my face, right? It was part of the reason I had taken the trip with speed and cocaine all those years ago. Kept my appetite down, kept me going like the Energizer Bunny for hours and hours on end. And kids, I don't need to tell you how wrong was and still is. It's messed up. I digress, but it's bringing me to my point. Anyway, in this previous industry, of course, sexual harassment from the employers was prevalent. It was a daily happening. But again, vulnerable population. Many addicts needed to continue feeding their own addictions, yours truly included. Many single moms needed to keep their children fed. Everybody pretty much looked the other way. If anybody reported it, one was burned in this particular industry. And it is, to put it mildly, challenging to not only recover from such incidents or that sort of falling out, but to regroup quickly to find a way to pay those bills or feed the family. In the case of James Charles, it appears he preyed on those who may have been starstruck. In this case, as mentioned, manipulating young men who are at least or self-identify as straight. And yes, both victims and perpetrators are of any sexual orientation, be it gay, straight, or bi. It really doesn't matter. I don't think I need to come out and say that it is not only wrong, but extremely toxic in this day and age. But again, here I am. Another thing of note, we have seen how destructive therapies Christian families love to use to send their gay loved ones to be, straightened out. Pray away the gay was the theme, yes. We've seen how such programming can be extremely harmful. It's just as harmful for someone like James Charles to use his money, notoriety, and clout to manipulate straight men and make them have sex with him, claiming he can turn them gay. I realize that business competitors and ex-friends duking it out on social media is sexier than talking about the more important themes in this whole melodrama, like sexual harassment, the problematic beauty standards that society sets and insists upon for people to be accepted, and preying upon a vulnerable population to sell overpriced products and or service that likely would not work in the first place, or not, at the very least, at best, not live up to the hype that it may promise. I'll give you an example. If beauty products like day and night creams or anti-wrinkle antidotes marketed to older women really did work, along with supplements that promised to turn back the clock, so to speak. And yes, Tati Westbrook's hair, skin, and nail supplements, Halo Beauty, that claim to remove or prevent gray hairs, remove fine lines and wrinkles, or at least significantly reduce them. Plastic surgeons would be on the unemployment line now, wouldn't they? Well, okay, maybe not that bad. But they would have to find another specialty to practice now, wouldn't they? Even if they did work somewhat, one would have to continuously shell money that they don't necessarily have on these products, like the anti-wrinkle creams, to maintain. By the by, ladies, there is no evidence that the Halo Beauty supplements that Tati is selling works. And whatever positive testimonials are out there, they are purely anecdotal, and we have no way of knowing if the supplements really did work for these people or it was just a placebo effect. To my knowledge, to date, according to my research, there have been no studies done with Halo Beauty. Nobody wants to believe they potentially got conned out of a lot of money for something that may not work. There has been some question as to whether an ingredient in Halo Beauty, saw palmetto, is contraindicated with birth control pills and likely estrogen that menopausal women are prescribed. I did some of my own research on this and honestly still not sure, as the articles that made this claim cannot be corroborated to date. They came from sources like WebMD, and sometimes WebMD, kids, is hit or miss. Sometimes they get it, other times not so much. Always best to find something corroborating when it comes to sites like WebMD. Anyhow, it's also indicated that it may not be safe for pregnant women or those who are breastfeeding. It is indicated on the labeling that those who are pregnant or breastfeeding should seek advice from their doctor before taking the supplement. Well, at least that. Either way, it is still something to think about. Unnatural Vegan gives a detailed breakdown of the ingredients in Halo Beauty shortly after it was launched last year. I will link to her video below. As for the Sugar Bear Gummies, Sugar Bear Hair Gummies, could be dummies too, right? That James Charles is peddling, that contain a ton of sugar and lead. Yes, you heard that right, kids. Lead. Now that sounds healthy, don't it? Apparently, according to Unnatural Vegan, the amount of lead in the gummies is within the legal limits in the US. But still, should we be promoting products that contain lead? James Charles followers look up to him for the most part are kids, teenagers, many as young as 12. I believe a huge demographic is 12 to 14-year-olds. We all know that lead is particularly unsafe for children. So why is he peddling the supplement to this demographic? Okay, does he even know? Because he doesn't strike me as having much of an education, this James Charles. And even if he knew, does he care? Probably not. Not as long as he continues rolling into the bank. Back to Halo Beauty. This particular market plays into the societal meme that older women just don't matter as human beings, cannot be taken seriously, should not be heard, not deserving of decent companionship, or worthy of compassion or empathy, unless we work hard and spend all that dough to make ourselves look younger than our daughters. I mean, how messed up is that? Even Swayze, aka Unnatural Vegan, at about 18 minutes into her most recent video, not the Halo product review she gave last year, her most recent video, pretty much says that women must wear makeup. No dear, we don't. And we should not be treated as less than people because we don't put that crap on our faces. Most of it is bad for the skin anyways. With all the grease and crap they put in, causes acne. Here's something to think about, kids. I almost never wear makeup unless it's Halloween and I use it for dress up. I've never had an acne problem. I have other issues like eczema, but never an acne problem on my face. Animals are put through unspeakable cruelty just so we can attain a problematic beauty standard in the name of societal acceptance, in the name of vanity. I know. There are many vegan and cruelty-free products out there, and Halo Beauty is a vegan product, or so that it is now marketed. But there is ceramide in it. Ceramide? Taste. Yeah. And isn't ceramide tested on mice? Upon a quick Google search, it would appear that mice are still being used to test this particular ingredient, ceramide. Halo Beauty appears to have very mixed reviews from those who have tried it. Some rave about it. Many others, if not most, found issues with it. Some even complaining of side effects such as headaches, stomach troubles, and acne. Others have said the supplement, while it may work for certain issues, they can find something cheaper at their local health food store or at Walmart. It is $40 US, kids, for about a month's supply, just to let you know the price. The Sugar Bear hair gummies, which I don't know if it's a hair supplement or if that's actually a form of melatonin to help kids sleep. I don't know. But either way, it's $30 for about a month's supply, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I won't even bother with the before and after pictures. Not while there are apps like Facetune that can help enhance a picture. Guess what? I have been trying to grow my hair for ages. It doesn't grow. And I have taken the darn supplements. Not Halo Beauty, but I've paid equally as much for supplements and also taken biotin. But it never worked. My hair just doesn't grow. And of course it did not work. I learned later from my hairstylist that my hypothyroidism and the thyroxine I take daily that helps me produce the hormones that I don't produce naturally cause hair loss, let alone prevent hair to grow. But I digress. As to the claims that Halo Beauty removes gray or prevents them from growing in the first place, to date, I have not seen the hair dye industry go out of business, nor do I see colorists on the unemployment line. Yes, I know there are other reasons to dye hair, but the major reason women get their hair dyed is to cover those unsightly grays. Funny dudes don't have to worry about that. I mentioned this in a previous video. With dudes, they're a silver fox. We women with gray hair, we're letting ourselves go. And we must work harder. As for Tati, a woman in her late 30s, does anyone really believe she looks the way she does solely by taking her Halo Beauty pink capsules 2 per day? She looks to have hair extensions, and it's apparent that Botox did a little helping along the way. After seeing her in some videos, I've noticed her forehead, her eyebrows don't move. That's usually a sign of Botox. This is tantamount to someone selling a diet product or regimen claiming it helped them lose a truckload of weight super quick, when in reality they had weight loss surgery themselves. And I'm willing to bet that this scenario has probably happened. As for James Charles, between stepping on people's toes, manipulating people, and trying to convert straight men to being gay by using his clout, money, and fame, how good of a role model can he possibly be to the impressionable children who follow him and look up to him? What exactly are they learning at such a young age. And this is something that needs to be concerned. Many who follow the beauty community, who would follow, are your children following James Charles or those like him? Something to think about. The continued drama of Tati Westbrook and James Charles continues being milked. Does say a lot about society as a whole. It is also a clear illustration of what is wrong with today's capitalism, the vacuousness of it, the lack of critical thinking, the nastiness. In this case, the fighting over the promotion of products, both with questionable claims and ingredients at best, which are marketed to vulnerable populations. In the case of James Charles, impressionable kids, and Tati Westbrook, older women. For the latter, simply further perpetuating once again that we don't matter unless we look beautiful to societal standards, which once again, boys and girls, basically means looking younger than our daughters. Pierre XO talked of those memes in his video, and yet about half the comment section were simply filled with how attractive he is or how sexy his voice sounds, and they subscribed to him for those reasons, instead of continuing the serious dialogue that Pierre started on his video. Should we be surprised, though? No. But dang, I wish things would change, but I'm not confident it'll happen in my lifetime. Tati Westbrook, who people see as a victim in this soap opera, the heroine, if you will, the martyr, really shouldn't. This woman does lead a charmed life. Indeed. Her issues are really first world problems. When she was mentoring James Charles, the first thing I have to ask is what was in it for her? Where was the quid pro quo here? And yes, there must have been. Anyone believing that a woman like Tati Westbrook was altruistic with her motives in mentoring and being a surrogate mom to him of sorts, well, this Canadian would have some swampland in Florida to sell to you all. This goes beyond the he said, she said, way beyond, largely because of the underlying social issues, and another example of capitalism run amok. As things tend to work in capitalism today, both will survive unscathed, pretty much. They will lick their wounds. Even if they lose their popularity or subs on YouTube or other social media, others just like them will be along to take their place and just be as catty and as toxic as those before them. That's about going to do it here for this video. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, then feel free to give it a thumbs down. Please subscribe and ring the ringy-dingy icon below so you can get notified every time I upload. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Something we need to do a better job of. Straight Talking Fedora Chick over and out.